Chapter 4. After class, I asked my literature teacher if I could join the literature club, much to her surprise. "Well, I don't see why not. I hope you don't think this will get you out of classwork," she stated. No, I just, I like reading books," I said. It was a half-truth. "Well, I'm quite happy to hear that. I'll sign you up. Speak with Monica. She'll be in shortly," replied my teacher. "Well, don't you run the club?" I asked. "Not directly. The one in charge is Monica. I just sort of let her use the class, and I take care of any of the club needs from the school." "Hello, ma'am," said a voice from behind me. "Speaking of, here she is," stated my teacher. "Monica, I'd like you to meet our new club member." "Pleased to meet you," smiled Monica. Nice meeting you too," I replied. The teacher left the room, and Monica got right to asking me questions. "So, what kinds of literature do you like?" The truth was that I really didn't read much outside of classwork. It's not that I hated reading, I just would rather do other things. "Well, the classics." "Oh, classics. Yes, have you read, Candide?" asked Monica. "Candide? Never heard of it." Different classics, I guess," I replied. "Oh, well, is there any other sort of genre you like?" "Well, to be honest, I kinda like manga, but I don't know if that counts." Monica's smile lowered a bit, but she then stated, "Well, I do know somebody else in this club who likes manga. Just, I guess let me know what books you've read. Maybe that will be easier." "Sure. I've read some books like, let's see, The Running Man. 1984. Most Dangerous Game." Monica could tell that I really hadn't read much outside of class, and she handed me another book. "Try this one," smiled Monica. She handed me a copy of the book Brave New World. "Thanks," I said. I took the book and I held on to it. "Hey, Monica," cheered a voice from behind me. "Hello, Sayori," said Monica. I turned, and to my surprise I saw the couple from yesterday. Sayori seemed to recognize me, and she waved while her boyfriend found a place for them to sit. A tall girl with purple hair walked in. Her head turned when she saw me, and Monica introduced her. "Yuri, this is our new club member." Yuri simply waved to me before ducking for a desk and pulling out a book from her bag. "Sorry, she's not very social. And Sayori over there is the vice president." "Oh, I think you'll like this new member," said Monica. "You came!" shouted Natsuki. "You two know each other already?" asked Monica with a surprise. "Well," I began. "Yeah, we do. And you know what? He likes manga too," stumped Natsuki. I wasn't sure who she was talking to, as she wasn't actually looking at Monica, but rather turned to face the classroom. "I see," stated Monica before once more turning to face me. "Well, feel free to do as you like. We have club activities on Fridays, but otherwise, for now, we just do free reading." Monica hadn't even the chance to finish before Natsuki began pulling me towards the back. "Come on already. I have something I want to show you." "What is it?" I asked. "Can't it wait?" We walked into a closet filled with books. I'd seen my teacher go into it a few times, but I'd never actually been in there myself. Natsuki pulled me to the end of the closet, and to my surprise I saw a full row of manga. As a matter of fact, it wasn't just any manga. It was the entire collection of Parfait Girls. "Pretty cool, huh?" she gloated. I have to say it is," I agreed. "Well, good. Now come on, let's do some reading." She smiled as she pulled on my arm once more. When we'd finished the volume, I was quite eager to begin pulling from the shelves to read the rest of the series myself, as Natsuki and I discussed the happenings of this volume with joy. "All right, everybody. Club dismissed," I heard Monica state. I looked up, and when I looked back, I turned to see Natsuki absolutely crestfallen. "Hey, what's wrong?" I asked. Where she had once been filled with joy, she now looked more sad than I'd ever seen her before, even sadder than the day that we met. Nothing," she lied. It was clear to me that there was something wrong, but she simply didn't want to state what it was. She began taking off my jacket liner and handing it back to me. "What are you doing? It's freezing out there," I stated. I can't take this home. My dad would..." Natsuki stopped herself midway before handing me the liner. I pushed it back to her and replied, "Well, you know what? If it'll make him that upset, how about this? I'll walk with you, and then you can give it back when we get to your place, right? That way you can stay warm, and your dad wouldn't know the difference. I mean, if you're not wearing the jacket at the house, or you're not wearing it in the house, you know?" Natsuki's eyes brightened. "You mean it?" she asked nervously. "Of course." Chapter 5. The walk home was rather boring until we rounded a corner and were completely out of view of the school. Natsuki giggled as she leaped forward into a puddle of water with her worn rubber boots. She had some protection from the rain, but the old vinyl slicker that she wore had holes, and it was somewhat tight on her. Presumably it was something that she had had for some time, as it was a faded pink with little white flowers, like something a young girl might wear. It only reached her belly, and the hood didn't seem to fit over her head, but she wore it nonetheless. There was no doubt in my mind that it was certainly tighter with my jacket liner beneath it, but it still seemed to be rather tight. She didn't mind it, though. That was funny. I watched her jump from puddle to puddle, laughing the whole way. "Aren't you a bit wet?" I asked. I blocked some of her splashes from hitting me, and I was sort of annoyed at the fact that I was getting soaked by her every jump. The wax on my canvas jacket was old, and it didn't repel water as well as it once did. By then, it had already become rather soaked. "Yeah, so?" she asked. She spun around and stomped in another puddle, splashing me once again, as she feigned being upset with what I'd asked. "Well, I don't know. Won't your folks be upset if you're soaked through?" I asked. Natsuki slowed down and fell in line with me. "Papa doesn't get home till later. My clothing should be dry by then." "Okay, well, how about the manga in your bag?" I asked. "I leave it in literature class." "I couldn't take it home," she sighed. We turned another corner and Natsuki slowed down even more. She began walking stiffly as if trying to delay us even more. "Huh. I live not too far from here," I commented. "Really?" asked Natsuki. "Yeah, a couple streets down, at the end of the block," I stated. We lived much further from the inside of town, certainly much further from the nicer part of town. This is where all the smaller homes were, the smaller, older properties. It wasn't much, but it was nice. The properties themselves were rather large enough to have some privacy, but the homes tended to be rather old and sort of run down. It wasn't the best place to live, but it certainly beat living in the inner city. We stopped and Natsuki looked at a house that we stood in front of. It was smaller than most, though bigger than mine. The lawn was dead, and the porch had a few beer bottles sat beside the rocking chair. An ashtray sat in the railing. It was overflown by the runoff from the gutters, and old cigarette butts floated, bobbing up and down before falling down the waterfall and into the dead lawn below. "Well, this is my place," whispered Natsuki. She began walking up the sunken pavers that had flooded with water. "Hey, I stated. Natsuki turned around and looked at me. Yeah? Oh, that's right, your jacket. No, it's not that. Although, you probably should give it back, yes. But, well, I was wondering, do you think... Could I get your number? I asked before quickly adding. It's just, well, you see, my folks aren't around and so, I mean, it's not like I really have anyone to talk to, so... Natsuki smiled and quickly walked back over to me. Oh, so first you look at my legs and now you want my number? She laughed, pulling out her phone. You know, if I didn't know better, I might think somebody like you was dumb enough to fall in love with me. Well, I mean, I began. Here, she said, handing me her phone. It was older and pink, though aside from a few chips on the outside, it was actually in fairly good condition. I handed her mine, to which she smiled slyly as she entered my name into her contact book. And here, she said, giving me back my jacket liner. Thanks. She waved goodbye and left me alone once more as I walked home in the rain. The drops slowed as I made my way home, and by the time I had reached it, it had become a very light drizzle. I opened the door and set my bag down. I left my jacket hung on the shower head and changed out of my clothing and into a set of thermals as I cooked dinner that evening. I sat down at the table with a plate of chicken and pasta and began to eat when my phone buzzed. I looked at it and I saw I had a message from Natsuki. Natsuki. Hey. I set down my fork and responded to her quickly. Hey, what's up? Nothing much. How about you? Eating dinner. Do you cook for yourself? Yeah, I actually made some chicken and pasta. Yummy! Heck yeah. I'll save you some. OMG. Thank you. Are you having anything to eat? Natsuki didn't text back right away, and instead simply said, I'll eat later. Oh, okay. We talked for some time about Parfait Girls, and I found a new anime adaptation of it and asked her about it. Maybe we can watch it sometime together. Incongruent to the rest of the conversation, Natsuki replied, I have to go. Papa just got home. I'll try to text you later, okay? Alright. Natsuki didn't reply after that, and I finished my homework. By then, it had become rather late, and I sat down at my computer to play some games until I was tired enough to go to bed. I jumped out of my chair as my phone rang. I looked at the clock. It was about 1 at this point. I looked at the phone and, to my surprise, it was Natsuki. I picked it up and asked, Hello? In a very confused voice. I heard a slight whimper as Natsuki spoke up. Hi. Natsuki? Natsuki, are you okay? I asked. I was rather worried by this. Natsuki didn't bother to answer me, and instead simply asked, Can you just stay on the line with me? Well, okay, I responded. I heard her bed squeak from under her choking breath. Can you say something for me? Can you wish me good night? Please, she begged. Natsuki, I really wasn't sure what to say at that point. Good night, Natsuki. Everything's gonna be okay. Promise me, she whispered. I promise, I replied.